For generations, the US-Canada border was the world's longest undefended boundary, a symbol of trust and cooperation, where neighbors lived side by side with little thought to the invisible line between them. The Alaska Highway, built during World War II, became a lifeline connecting Alaska to the lower 48, and a testament to this partnership. It was a feat of engineering and a gesture of mutual reliance in a time of global crisis. Families, goods, and ideas moved freely, and the open road embodied a spirit of unity, adventure, and shared opportunity for both nations. But recent years brought a shift. Economic nationalism replaced trust, and trade disputes escalated, straining the once easygoing relationship. Minor disagreements over lumber and dairy grew into a full-blown conflict, with both sides viewing each other as competitors instead of partners. In early 2025, the Alaska Highway, once a monument to unity, became a tool of economic retaliation, as new barriers and tolls were imposed. New rules and costs transformed the open road into a barrier, disrupting daily life for Alaskans and Canadians alike, and making simple journeys suddenly complicated. The highway, once a symbol of connection, now marked a deepening divide, both physically and emotionally. For those living along its route, this wasn't just politics. It was a sudden, harsh reality that upended routines and relationships. The spirit of partnership was replaced by suspicion and confrontation, as border crossings became tense and uncertain. The Alaska Highway's transformation was a painful reminder of how quickly old friendships can fracture, leaving scars on both sides. What was once unthinkable, a closed border, became the new normal, altering the landscape of daily life. The line in the sand was no longer just symbolic. It was real, and it was felt every day by those who once took unity for granted. British Columbia's decision to impose tolls on the Alaska Highway was a direct response to renewed US tariffs on Canadian goods, a move that sent shockwaves through the region. With key industries like lumber and forestry under threat, the province acted swiftly to protect its economy and safeguard the livelihoods of thousands of workers. Premier David Eby called the tolls a defensive measure, enacted under new legislation designed to counter foreign economic threats and ensure BC was not left vulnerable. The message was clear: if the US hurt Canadian industries, Canada would push back with equal determination. The tolls specifically targeted commercial traffic vital to Alaska, aiming to inflict economic pain where it would be felt most by American businesses and communities. Revenue from the tolls was earmarked to support affected Canadian workers, providing much-needed relief and stability during uncertain times. This was part of a broader, coordinated Canadian response. Other provinces quickly joined in with their own countermeasures, showing national solidarity. The Yukon restricted US imports, tightening controls at its border crossings. Ontario added surcharges to electricity exports, increasing costs for American consumers and businesses. Canada presented a united front, determined not to accept US pressure passively, but to respond with strength and resolve. The Alaska Highway tolls quickly became the most visible symbol of this new, defiant stance by Canada. What was once a route of friendship and cooperation became the front line of an economic battle between neighbors. The move was calculated, targeted, and designed to send a strong message to Washington about Canada's willingness to defend its interests. The era of quiet cooperation was over, replaced by a new chapter of economic confrontation and national resolve. British Columbia quickly repurposed way stations along the Alaska Highway, transforming them almost overnight. These sites became high-tech toll collection points, equipped with the latest technology. Tolls are calculated based on truck type, cargo weight, and the total distance traveled. For many, a single trip can cost thousands, making each journey a major financial decision. Automated cameras and license plate readers ensure every commercial vehicle is tracked. Evasion is nearly impossible, enforcement is strict, and any attempt to bypass the system is flagged immediately by authorities. The border crossing experience has changed dramatically. Longer waits, more scrutiny, and a tense atmosphere. Friendly interactions have given way to friction and resentment, especially among frequent travelers. While private vehicles pay only nominal fees, the overall climate has discouraged cross-border travel for everyone. The highway, once a popular route for tourists and families, now feels like a place of conflict and uncertainty. The tolls have created not just a financial barrier but a psychological one that lingers. The journey north is no longer a scenic adventure, it's a reminder of a fractured relationship between neighbors. The new system is efficient, but it's also a daily symbol of division and lost trust. The open road has become a checkpoint, a barrier where there once was freedom. The spirit of easy passage is gone, replaced by uncertainty and hesitation. For Alaskans, the tolls were an immediate economic shock. The state's reliance on the highway meant higher costs for everything: groceries, fuel, building materials. Prices soared overnight, hitting families and small businesses hardest. The construction industry stalled as material costs skyrocketed, projects were delayed or canceled. Oil and gas operations faced new expenses and delays, threatening a key economic engine. The Alaska Trucking Association's warnings of a logistical nightmare quickly became reality. The crisis deepened Alaska's sense of isolation. This wasn't a natural disaster, but a political decision made far away. The highway, once a lifeline, now symbolized vulnerability and dependence. Alaskans felt cut off, at the mercy of foreign and federal governments. The economic pain was real, but so was the sense of abandonment. The crisis wasn't just about money, it was about connection. The open road had become a choke point. Across Alaska, anger and frustration boiled over. Some blamed Canada for the tolls, others blamed Washington for provoking the crisis. The debate divided communities, but also sparked resilience. Businesses sought alternative shipping routes, by sea and air, to bypass the highway. Grassroots efforts grew, community gardens expanded, and buying local became a survival strategy. Political leaders responded. Governor Dunleavy called for diplomacy, while Senator Sullivan threatened retaliation against Canada's cruise ship industry. The crisis even reignited talk of Alaskan secession, not as a real movement, but as a sign of deep frustration. Alaskans felt trapped between two governments, desperate for control over their own fate. The tolls forced adaptation, but also a reckoning with Alaska's unique vulnerabilities. The call for action was clear: something had to change. The crisis was a test of both resolve and resourcefulness. The state's future depended on finding solutions, fast. The spirit of survival was alive, but so was the demand for answers. The Alaska highway crisis sent shockwaves across both countries. In Canada, most supported the tough stance, seeing it as justified defense of national interests. But some, especially near the border, worried about economic retaliation and called for negotiation. In the US, the issue was initially seen as regional, but soon became a national flashpoint. Many Americans viewed Canada's actions as an attack, fueling calls for a tougher trade policy. The standoff deepened political divisions and strained diplomatic channels. Trust between the two countries eroded and cooperation on other issues suffered. The crisis exposed how quickly a single dispute could unravel decades of partnership. Environmental and security collaborations were suddenly viewed with suspicion. The Alaska Highway became a symbol of a much deeper rift. Both nations were left on edge, uncertain about the future. The fallout was economic, political, and deeply personal for those affected. The cost of conflict was clear, and growing. As of June 29, 2025, the tolls remain, and the standoff continues. The Alaska Highway stands as a monument to broken trust and economic pain. Alaskans face higher prices and uncertainty. British Columbia sees the tolls as necessary defense. The road is now a physical and political barrier. The best hope is a return to diplomacy. If Washington and Ottawa resolve their disputes, the tolls could be lifted. But escalation is possible. More retaliations could harden the border for a generation. The future depends on whether leaders choose bridges or barricades. The crisis has revealed the fragility of even the strongest alliances. Cooperation must be actively maintained, not taken for granted. For those who rely on the highway, hope remains for reconciliation. The question is whether the spirit that built the road can be revived. The next chapter depends on the choices made now.